Buddy, so today I'm gonna be breaking down a trade that I took on Friday that I literally posted the analysis before it happened on my story and as well on the free Telegram. So I'm gonna be breaking down from scratch my chart literally from scratch to finish how and why I took the trade. And I know you guys are gonna definitely be able to pick up on some knowledge. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I do is I go on M5 and I draw the highs and lows of days. So let's do this. If we're trading right here on Friday, the high and low of day is going to come from Thursday, one previous trading day before. So it's going to be the highest and lowest point between Frankfurt and New York. That is the rules that I follow. So this is the high of day right here. This area right here, the highest point between Frankfurt and New York. And then the low of day right here, the lowest point. Low of day. Okay, and then the previous high and previous low of day is going to be coming from Wednesday, which is two previous trading days from what we're trading. If we're trading Friday, it's going to be coming from Wednesday. So same thing, it's going to be the highest and lowest point between Frankfurt and New York. This is our previous high of day right here. And then our previous low of day right here. Previous low of day. Okay, and then you're gonna see now why I mark these areas. These areas are very specific points that sometimes supply and demand zones align themselves with it, and you're gonna see that they're very accurate areas. So same thing as well here. You can see that price literally created this demand zone right here, like this. They're very specific zones. Notice how this is just something real quick that I noticed right here that I'm not that I took this trade or anything, but notice this is just an example of what I'm telling you guys. Notice this demand zone right here that gives this push, broke these highs. Right above it, we have this previous low of day, literally right above it where it starts. Notice how price uses it during Asia to give us this movement to the upside. But you're gonna see this now, more of this now, going over the trade breakdown. So also let me point out how let's go to the higher time frames, like the weekly time frame. Let me go to the weekly time frame and point this out for you guys. So notice how on the weekly time frame, I've been telling you guys for a few weeks, actually for like the past 4 weeks, that we're going to come into this weekly supply, and it was very likely we're going to see a bearish movement coming from here. So notice how all of last week we had a bearish movement coming from this weekly supply that gives this movement to the downside. Notice this bearish movement coming from the downside is coming from this supply right here, which is the previous contrary candle. If we're looking at obviously a supply zone, we're going to be marking a bullish candle, and if we're looking at a demand zone, we're going to be marking a bearish candle. So just keep that in mind, a little sauce for you guys. So notice how as soon as we touch the supply for the past 2 weeks, now we're having a bearish movement. So let's go to the daily time frames and let's see what areas we're working with on the daily time frame. So right off the bat, notice how we're coming from the supply zone, but we have this area supply zone that's created on the daily, that after we touch this weekly. Notice how we have this this head, and the right shoulder is probably going to come in from this area here, very likely. So just keeping that in mind. Notice how now we're going to look at the demand zones that we have. Notice we have this demand zone right here, which would kind of be the same thing, left head and then the right shoulder right here. So let's see, but I honestly think we're going to break past this zone. So this is like the first target that I have for price that gave us this movement to the supply zone. Notice this demand zone gave us this push right here to this impulse right here to the supply. So let's go to the H4 real quick. Let's see what we're working with on H4. If price were to just break this area right here, we have this area of demand zone that we have to keep in mind right here, which is, so this is our next two major zones that we're working with. This is the first major target right here on the daily. And then if price were to break this area, notice how we have this void right here, and the push right here to the upside was actually created right here. So it's very likely we could see price reach this area here on the H4. So just keeping this in mind, and also keeping in mind, and check this out as well. This is why I took a sell on Thursday coming from this area that I also pointed out for you guys. Notice how we have this sell right here coming from right here, this supply zone right here. On a lower time frame, the previous video before I break down this sell on a lower time frame, but notice how we're coming from this H4 supply right here. So everything is pointing to we're in a bearish movement right now in the market, and this is the major target right here. So let's go to M15. I'm dropping a lot of sauce for you guys here. I'm making it very simple. Drop a comment if you're picking up on it. So check this out right here. First thing I noticed on M15 is that we're working with this supply zone right here. Notice how I told you guys that a lot of times supply zones and demand zones are going to be with the previous highs or lows of days, or the high and low of day. And notice how we have this previous high of day with this supply right here, this previous contrary candle that gave us this movement to the downside. Notice how Frankfurt pulled back exactly, and then London taps it to the pip to give us this movement to the downside. So just keeping that in mind, and keeping in mind that this is our next major target right here on the daily time frame, we are obviously looking for sells. So what I posted on my story and my analysis that I sent on the Telegram was that price was going to pull back to this M15 zone right here. I told you guys that price was going to pull back here, and I was going to sell from this area, with this being the next major target. So if I go to M5, let me also break this down for you guys. On M5, notice how we have this demand zone as well right here. And if I go to M1, there's also an M1 run right here. I'm going to just go to it real quick to prove my point. Notice on M1, and I'm going to mark it as well. Notice on M1, we have this area right here. So we have 3 time frame confluences, and we have everything aligning to sell from this area. So let me point this out. Have M15 supply. Let me go make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it better. We have this M15 supply right here, M5, M1. All these 3 time frames align, and we have this major target right here. So everything is telling us to sell. Also notice how we're having this bearish movement already coming from London that pulled back to this area right here. So everything is telling us to sell. So I placed my sell limit right here. And I literally, what's it called? I sent out that this was going to be a 1 to 4. A lot of guys held a 1 to 4. I'm going to be honest, I closed a 1 to 2. But notice how the trade played out perfectly, 1 to 4 right here. Notice how price pulled back exactly to this M15 supply. It didn't touch the M5 quite. That's literally why I placed it at an M15, because more than likely in areas like this, notice how the right shoulder is going to be right here. It's not going to give you an equal high. Whenever you see the market give you an equal high, just know price is going to break past that. No, price does not give you equal highs. That's not a confluence. Price is going to break past that. So notice how price uses M15 one. Price was definitely, I did not have it that price was going to use this M1 one, because it would have been like an equal high. Notice left head, right shoulder. Same thing here pretty much. Notice how price does not use these supplies right here. Price literally pulls back and breaks everything. It's pretty much like it's literally, this is the definition of supply and demand, the real definition. It's you're gonna see like an accumulation, which is like a supply, then you're gonna see manipulation, which breaks it, and then a distribution to the downside, which is literally pretty much what you see right here. You see this left head, the right, and then a distribution to the downside. Notice how a lot of people in the beginning of New York, 100%, they were selling right here at this supply. And what does price do? Price takes them out. And then that's when they're like, oh, prices stop hunting. But no, that's it's just that you don't know how to mark the right supply or demand zone. What is going to happen if we would have took ourselves from right here? Price would have literally took us out right here in this area, and then hit our stop loss, and then played out, and they're like, oh, the market's after you. But no, you just literally don't know how to trade. So notice, this is the real supply right here, where the movement is coming from. This is not the supply right here. And notice how it's played out perfectly. We didn't reach the target, the main target, but the 1 to 4 played out. This is a beautiful trade right here. So this is very likely that we're going to see price reach these next areas right here. So let me just go over what we could see for coming over for tomorrow. So real quick, notice how price pulled back to this M15 supply. We have our target down here. We didn't reach that target, but still 1 to 4 is a very nice trade. And then just keeping in mind that we have the supply that price was used, and everything on the higher time frames giving us confirmation to sell. So let's delete this, and let's see what we could be working with for tomorrow. So let's delete this, and let's delete this supply. So honestly, I need to see what exactly Asia does, but I'll give you guys an example, because honestly I need to see how the market opens to see exactly what we're working with, and see what Asia does and London. So a little quick prediction that I can give you guys is that we're definitely going to see price sometime this week reach this daily supply. I definitely do think we might just break past this area, and we're going to fill this void right here and reach this demand zone right here on the H4. It's a very likely scenario. that we're going to see price reach this demand zone right here on H4. So just keeping that in mind for this week. But yeah, guys, this was a super simple trade. I'm gonna just break the sauce down real quick. Weekly supply, H4 supply, and M15 supplies that we were using on the lower time frames. Super simple with the main target down here. But yeah, drop a comment if you guys picked up some sauce from this video and you appreciate this video. I'll see you guys on the next one.